Something new for today, the Nike ZoomX Invincible Run performance review video. We haven't really done many running shoe video reviews because we do them written on the website, but I wanted to add a quick summary for those that either don't have enough time or don't want to read the whole thing, kind of a TLDR, and we're going to try to do it in one take, so let's see how it goes. Big star of the show is the ZoomX midsole. Rocker geometry, it's a really smooth ride, one note up here in the forefoot. There's not a ton of cushion and there's no plate in there like there are on Nike's other ZoomX shoes, so you can feel the ground a lot when you push off there. It's not necessarily a bad thing, especially when you're going a little faster, but just something to note. But the midsole itself is super bouncy. And so I really love the feel of it. It really showcases that the carbon plate alone is not what gives the bounce in these running super shoes, that the P-backs, or ZoomX as Nike calls it, is really the thing responsible for that awesome bounce. As you can tell, the upper is Flyknit. It's super padded at the tongue. It's kind of a half neoprene, half mesh tongue. There's lots of padding in the collar. It's probably the best fitting upper for me on a Nike shoe since the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit. Different sort of upper, but this is very much a traditional running upper. It's about as traditional as Nike will ever get on the running uppers. A lot of times they kind of go for the cool look at the expense of some comfort, but this one is just meant for everyday cruising, and they did a great job on the comfort. Fit-wise, it goes true to size. There's lots of room up here in the forefoot for toe splay. The midfoot gets a little narrower, but not quite as narrow as like the Pegasus 37 or the Nike Tempo Next Percent and other Nike models, recent Nike running models. The heel, lots of lockdown in the heel because you can sink into this padding, but they've also added in this guide rail, which actually goes up the sides here a little bit. You can see the red underneath the Flyknit there, and it really keeps you in there. You're not going side to side, you're not going back to front. You can cinch up the laces due to the comfortable tongue. Lockdown wise, you're not moving, and that's really nice because inherently ZoomX is super plush and thereby a little unstable. That means your ankles are going to be doing a bit of the stability work, but Nike has tried to help you out both with this rail and with the way they constructed the midsole itself. You see, it flares out here at the sides, so you've got some really nice outrigger action up there that help on quick turns and things like that. It also flares out at the heel, then goes about a thumbnail behind the shoe, kind of like those Hoka models that we've seen recently. So pretty much an all-around, what would you call it, like approach to support, and you can really feel it while you're running. It counteracts kind of that that instability of the ZoomX and makes this a shoe that you're like okay wearing every day for every run. Now finally, the outsole, the traction. The only time I slipped in it was in a torrential downpour. It is very much a waffle outsole. It's just using ovals and rounded rectangles versus the square waffle look, and they're also a little farther apart than maybe a traditional Nike waffle sole. One thing to note is that there is this thin piece of rubber here at the lateral, or at the medial heel and at the lateral toe. I'm guessing those are for weight saving in non-high wear areas. I asked Nike about it, but I didn't hear back. So if I do find out, I'll post it on social and in the written review. But overall, for me, the Nike ZoomX Invincible Run is a great everyday trainer. There's plenty of runners, kind of really, semi-pro and really good runners who this is going to be a bit too much shoe for them on a speed workout or at the track. But I think for the majority of the running community, which is most of the recreational runners out there, this is going to be the perfect do everything shoe that also gives them that super shoe bounce that everyone's talking about. So they're not going to feel left out while still being able to do everything in these. And I think The drop is right at 9 millimeters, so pretty standard. You got 36 millimeters of ZoomX in the heel, 29 in the forefoot. It's a nice neutral setup that will make a lot of people happy, and it's worth your $180. Even though that is a steep price to pay, this shoe is going to last 300 to 500 miles because of the full rubber coverage on the outsole. I mean, I've worn these a ton and you can hardly tell. And then also, we know ZoomX is resilient from its use on the racing models. You're going to get 300 to 500 miles out of these, and they'll be worth it. So hopefully they drop here in the US soon. I know they're available already in Europe, and that most US retailers now have the March 11th release date. So thanks everybody, and let me know what you think of this type of running review summary and if we should do more of them.